Beautiful. So next up, we've got some beautiful art for you. I want to introduce to the stage Mathew Duffey, who's not only an artist and alchemist, but he also goes by the name Owl, which stands for Our Will to Live. Please put your hands together for Owl.
Test, test. Hello. Good evening. Owl, I want to make sure he enunciated that part. Our will to live. Hello. We're missing our podium. So this poem, which is, I think, maybe the longest poem I've ever written, I'll be taking a knee about 7 times to read this to y'all. Thank you for having me. This is called I Stand Apart. They say, united we stand, divided we fall. But when collapse is at hand, does this campaign slogan hold any merit at all? You might be thinking, how postmodern? If so, I ask you to inquire. As plot thickens and plot turns, might a poet's profession be to point us post-empire? How much of the ship needs to sink? How much ayahuasca must we drink to know the light we need now is night vision, as we are well beyond the brink? Alas, I remember when I was a captain, pointing to a promised land, evading ruling class contraptions like a pirate with hooks for hands. But I couldn't run forever, dependent on loots and treasures. Now I'm a maroon, and I'm red-handed for good measure. So will it be you all who harbors me, so that I can play my part impartially? Or with my revolting art and heart must I depart from false harmony? Make way, so-called independence, for one from the fray, who dare employ the hubris that would put me on display, to speak to you of independence, like the 4th of July was my favorite day. Don't worry, the organizers know me better, and they trusted me to write unfettered. Many thanks and praises to you all. It is my calling and my pleasure to fully participate in shaping our collective fate, but I have little to say of independence. I think I do better to demonstrate. I am an interdependent individual, one creation, indivisible, from all my relations, a synthesis of mystical, political, and vagrant, ancillary of ancestors who have entrusted me to say this. I declare on the unceded land of our common ground, I lay my shriveled independence down to make way for a sovereignty. Woo. To make way for a sovereignty that needs no crown. To discover together we must confound what it means to be who we are in America, what it means to bear these scars in America, what it means to be humane in America, what it means to be sane in America. We need look no further than our bloody roots, fed by all that strange fruit, to know ourselves as living proof of revolution come to roost. Our interbeing withstanding every feud, every atrocity, every coup, with its terrible, beautiful, omnipotent truth. We are more than independent. Dreamed by those that came before, with displaced bodies to these shores. Dreamed by those that came before, forced to work the killing floor. Dreamed by those that came before, met by the settlers of unfinished war. Forgotten, though their prayers implore, we find a way to receive their love. that they somehow found a way to pour. Through reckoning with blood and mud, a road to redemption could be restored, a path departing from neoliberal regimes. We will dispel the newest version of Mamon's nefarious scheme, the imperial co-optation of the American dream. This land dreamed long before. We will remember the dance as we forget the score. No more hoarding for the home team. Enough is enough. We don't need more. This land needs us like never before to live and die well. That is our recourse, and we need us like heaven needs hell. We will be forced to collide, and may our struggles provide all we need to empower the people to preside with our beyond human kin as these mountains came to life and were proudly the beauty made of the great divide. If you feel torn, that means you're awake. For our crises are crossroads that need us to break from prescript and edict of a failing state, of the silos that grind up the gruel on our plates. If we're going to be independent of that, we must galvanize our willingness to act as if we depended on each other, with respect for what makes us one another. We must learn to stand together, divided. In a caste system, there is no other kind of united, except for the uniform that requires our silence. Our conflict avoidance merely exports our violence. King warned of negative peace. We largely ignored the sirens, perhaps because positive peace requires justice live inside it. And that would mean responsibility for everybody jiving. That would mean first conciliation of all we try to reconcile with. The future is never promising. We always compromise it. No brave new world or island, but some other third thing. Huxley is asking us to write it. Lest we devolve to a state maintained by our compliance. If we stopped resisting the resistance, we could rise in our defiance. With discernment, humble pride can align formidable alliance. And we got a ways to go before lamb lay with lion. But let's fill into it. Is anybody out there feeling the same way as I am? Wow. Okay. Solid. Unity with a dash of truancy, scrutiny, lunacy. That's me. That's okay. We must learn power fluently, how it wants to move fluidly. I influence you, you influence me. And that's indubitably how we gonna move in this piece. It's a movement, not a monolith. Who's up to the task of it? And while I'm at it, let me ask how I'm living up to our acronym, Inc. Okay. I had to wrestle through every threshold to write like this, to put the pen in independence on a night like this, to bless this bold convergence more than a conference, isn't it? Through all of our many differences, uniting for shared purpose, because that's where our worth lives. Through delirium and discipline, we work our edges to unearth it. For the poised, the privileged, and the pursuers of the perfect, the messy is messianic. Don't let anyone usurp it. But bless the serpentry that ensures its demise, disguised as any one of us leading the way. Give them your power and you'll be surprised, enjoying your vacation as they lead you astray. And just so we're clear, give them truth, love, and justice, and just maybe the West will see light of new day. And just so we're clear, I promise Cornell's campaign did not pay me to play. I just wish he was here to see his smile when I say, we can't elect a revolution anyway. And then everyone says, Hip, hip, hooray. Y'all are super cooperative for the independent national convention. I love it. Another revolution every time we burst a bubble. Because there is no common ground without common struggle. We build up the soil when we choose to stay with trouble. And in times of trouble, well, my beloveds, sign me up for double. They politicking like chickens. They KFC, whether it's RFK or it's AOC. They selling out like it's the way to be. Fast food for the war machine. And we seed it and feed it and eat it up. Equity and inclusion keeps it up. We will divest when we believe in us. I don't need your vote. I need your trust. What will precipitate after colonial reign? I assure you it won't be a theory of change. It is a longer haul than it is a game. If you got the heart, then you got the range. With that, I'd like to honor strong hearts and steel spines. Few and far between our Mary Anns, our Cornel West, our Jill Steins, willing to stand on principle to call a genocide. Be it with the strength to love each and every life, be it Israeli or of Palestine. But that doesn't mean we don't draw the line, resisting dehumanization of any kind. Comfort zones become more scandalized as we streamline and live stream zones of sacrifice, which the purveyors of annihilation live inside, with entrapped people being Cain-ableized, led by fanatics on a mission to metastasize. We get a glimpse of our collective suicide. This is empire's great design, to consume like cancer and rebuke every martyr, defend and dominate until all is conquered. And we are not exempt from all that fodder when we've become the weapons that shall not prosper. We've formed against us. We've served two masters. What will return to dust will serve one thereafter. But where's the justice? In truth laid bare, ensnared in the balancing of scales, layer upon layer. It's just not fair. It's right there where love must court justice to ensure that trust lives, to restore where trust has been broken. Because justice isn't righteousness. Justice is right relationship. It's the love we choose when we can no longer take this shit. When we're pressed to make a fist, love comes knocking dressed as justice to help us remember what sacred is. It's not your promised land. Shallow and hollow, not hollow. We're the ones who sanctify are the same to sanction the gallows. Sycophants and hierophants with souls rendered fallow, blinded by the light, refusing their own shadow. Come home, come home, come home. What makes the sacred sacred is in relation to the desecrated. We consecrate through our relations. We make sacred through our embraces. But there is nothing to embrace if we deny our separation. There is no problem here if love is the equation. This is our great work, a great turning, a pagan christening. For love unconditional is love deconditioning. Pray for love, and you'll know justice. As sure as angels and ancestors are listening, as sure as I'm some kind of poet, pirate, priest, making peace with the war that lives in me, to deliver liberating liturgies and the composting work of synergy and communion between praise and our lamentations, because the difference between a miserable fate and regeneration is bound through the body. It lives in the land, and it is the inheritance of nations. It is in your decision to give up the lot you've been given, for his word is bond and word is written. Forgetting is forgetting. Forgiving is forgiving. Forgive to remember, and we'll get there. You get me? To the positive peace that King taught. Peace isn't a cheap thought. Peace is waged. You must pay. The return is that we get to keep on. So keep on keeping on, Inc. I believe the heat is on. I pray this movement is here to stay, and our compassion keeps it strong. Holler at me for poems, and if you need a song. I'm part of this, even if no one sings along.
Yeah. Whew. One of my favorite things is just to see people express themselves fully, right? How beautiful. Let's give it one more time for Mathew.